我在节目中是才当，我在节目中是才当这的，我们都会，
Hello?
这
Oh,
这节目中是才当我们的吧。
oh, do you have the opening prayers?
OK，到了东巴的级别站，诺巴的级别给塔尔巴当他们级前面，巴尔德就巴拉级巴他们级接作级别马南嘎当年的。森田他们级的巴当的东尔当区牛的拉纳梅。yang da bara zobe changcho rinpo che to bara chai da la no mara chi be cha no bara chi be ge dar ba dang tam chi chen be war tu jo bara chi ba tam chi je zo che be ma nam ga dang nyam be sim chen tam chi Dewa dang den dung ara dang chi nyor du la na mi bar yang da bar zo be chang cho ren bo chi to bar cha. Ja, English.
All matter sentient beings, limitless as space, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and omniscience. May they experience happiness, be free from suffering, and swiftly may they attain precious, unsurpassed, perfectly complete enlightenment.
一切的桑玛姐姐把这龙啊一双给我来过，马些把这龙啊一双给我来过，具体人没送的，你马上他咱们姐把这龙啊一双给我来过。
For that purpose, until I attain Buddhahood, I will apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue. Until death, I will apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue. From today until this time tomorrow, I will apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue.
多少钱？想得了那罗汤，门面大户，好多地方我搞的数量，这边的没下子就那么也那么就用了，做了吧？那说到就情节了。哦，真的到快上了，这话都我研究就是去几月一年的，是吧？等我几月一年的事情了哇。我真的，我在中国是不可能，他真的对吧？的，电信可能早晚应该是。哦，那些生活手机不对我们真的在学习啊，就成嘛的也是。我这嘛这对真的，那电信可能早晚的是，可能哪里啊，他出名的是。我这对线下是对哪也是。我这对这这怕哈过的也是线下对嘛，这哈过的也是多。
So last time we finished verse number 6, which was do not reject sickness and suffering since they are your spiritual friends. And today we come to verse number 7, which is don't reject enemies and obstructions. Oh, what? Wait, the parche di dove? Dove?
啊，电信可能早晚都不现象啊，
Wait a minute. Uh, Sorry, I'm
不
kind
常
of.
听就现，
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, I'm
电信
sorry.
可能早
I'm
晚
the
都不现象。
and things to understood. Yeah. So, sorry. Last time we had understand that suffering is your spiritual friend because it is the cause of renunciation. And today, number 7, understand that pleasure and happiness are the demon of attachment, the demons of attachment because they are the root of samsara. Um, the name, also, and so that is because when attachment and happiness to pleasures and comfort should be recognized as like a demonic force. So that is because they constitute this happiness and comfort actually can constitute a major obstacle to our Dharma practice.
当我当初在台湾的在穷凶在他在修这边的呢，他修这边得了第四的，怕自己天天都用天主地当啊，他得起来，他得是呢，但台湾嘛的，你看在台湾穷凶的天主宗当。在你们那去下是推出的时候呢，他推出马几瓦起，我在起的他得起来了，这是你看得起来了，我在先把卡送了，等你过来呀，他特别的，等你球起特别去，你们去特别可卡的用卡呢，等你我在先卡的对了的意思，我可是呢给先卡的去的，这对吧？穷穷的先卡起来的呢，要他特别嘛了，我自己是的是呢，这个嘛。龙巴在送的，现在龙巴在就肯定用这个下挺多，但但可是没帮过那我就意思，空才送到那可是没就帮过那我就意思，我他妈的他刚呀没龙巴是那东西，他给我你多，这给我听你不我你破没意思，其他人你可以咋意思，我真的真的我是觉得也不有事，我都觉得不有事，其他可能我经常给那往这里泡沫进来个是，那往这里泡沫进来个，真的年纪长嘛用个的，不过的那往的年纪长嘛用个的是，他拉到的就是没那个，那这可能这种，呃样子的也不没了，听过嘛不啷，可能的那现在提什么也不没比给下的听过嘛不啷，但提起来很拉不是呢。但我点子的起着学，是点对起着呀，弄不穷穷在，弄不是呀。你们大话的别是晓得，弄不穷穷在，弄不是晓得，你们大话这个嘛是我点起对起着呀了，过来我这个嘛的是，我这种多，这弄不这穷穷在，弄不怕是呀，你们大话这个嘛哇，
们不是
弄不这俺种那的，只不过起对你们大话这个嘛哇，这个对不对？
你妈上的那个人
哦，这你们大话是弄不是哇，弄不是还
啊，
可以喂。弄把
哎，
穷穷的，弄把是我这个嘛的是，你们大把
嗯
这个嘛的是，弄把穷穷的，我今年可能得起穷穷的，通了我经常说是很少的用个嘛的是。
嗯嗯嗯so so it is a bit difficult for us to kind of find the discipline to practice the Dharma because we seek temporary pleasures. We do what's more comfortable to us. And that is just something that gives us some temporary relief or some temporary pleasure. So then we can't kind of bring up the discipline to practice the Dharma. And then we keep indulging in these pleasures, and eventually we become attached. And being attached then will keep us stuck in samsara. We will not become liberated. So this attachment, this clinging attachment to various pleasures is really the actual demon. We are attached to some small pleasure, and then in the end, we can't liberate ourselves. The story about Milarepa, who came to some place, and so some people asked him, "So what do you practice?" And he said, "I'm very poor. I have no parents." And so on. And there were two elderly people, and they said, "Well, we have no son. You could become our son. We adopt you. You become our son. We are quite wealthy. So you get a nice girl, and then you will have your family." And then Milarepa replied that there is no lasting good to be found in samsara. It is just like the sun and the moon do not stay long in a small valley, in a small place. So maybe temporarily they dispel some darkness, but it won't stay for very long. I'm practicing to attain lasting happiness, and samsara is only suffering. That's all.
我真的弄把在哪里呗？
好的，龙吧。啊，第三，你把蛋打吧。
我
嗯。
这个 말을 너무 맞추고
되게
있는 맛이야
말이야.
싶지만
Yes, 란.
근데 지금 현차서는 다 지금 가서你别解了别小可以那有了没错了强的起码了这不把这分类两个代理有了这但全没把这里这手这个同学啥听到解读写着多咱们在没手
Mhm.
恰现在才有的是那位这了强的是大白嘛你看是日大是没这另外这你不这样说那真的日大是别你不出去你看的这我没让大家写的是我别承认，但我说每年这可是忙不着他，那边这次可能别几不够我他这掐从这就强这个了。真的，介入了，强的年末加税收，这年这种，但这啥下去，这种话去，真的没有这种，加税提纲在上面的，咋说这实际的，但加税工这个，真难以，真那种先
Die,
掐着，这
die
他对
Karen,
人是，
die J, Rola Tana Tenika, von Langiri.
年末加税，加税了呢。
Oh, mhm, mhm,
年嘛，教书的啥嘛的，这啥说
mhm,
就话的，想想
mhm,
这里咱说恰松这期的教书，可能是这个这哪一类的，那吃了他恰比我嘛没错或者是，但是我嘛这没错这那就话起，咱们没错是看上这个的，没错看上
mhm,
的过女排学到嘛了，这现在不嘞，这样的那种可来呢，这六七年也差出去嘛的，这恰松是吧？
mhm.
这路人家想那才老了，路人家想那啷不钱，他们钱，那一个做吃完钱不啷不的钱，他们钱不是啷么最近代考，但最多比较通不到这些了。我他成六人我这个做线下对的，才在那那不要用钱让我成六人啥吧？
Mhm. Mhm. Um, so, for example, regarding attachment, it is explained in some texts that when the eyes are attached to forms, it is like a butterfly drawn to a flame. Once it gets there, it gets burned. When the ears are attached to sounds, it is like a deer drawn to the sound of a flute, but it's the flute of the hunter. And when the hunter sees the deer, it shoots the deer. And when the tongue is attached to taste, to flavor, it is like a fish caught on a hook. So once attached, it can no longer escape. And when the nose attached to smells is like a bee drawn to a flesh-eating flower. So sometimes when there's certain kind of flowers, when the bee lands on the flower, then the flower closes and the bee gets trapped inside and then dies there. And then the body attached to touch is like an elephant stuck in the mud. Once it is in the mud, then it struggles and it can no longer get out of the swamp. It sinks deeper. So this is an example from the scriptures. So,
我当你对我做的就是老来那，有你的就是老来那，可是呢，在那个多边连车多边用天连车去趟的是，多边去用天连车去趟有，但在那个车上机讲日本派出去是的。我真的可是以前呢，这都差去他妈都去的时候，在身边头子，我真的就真的可是以前呢，他忙图我的是，都把这个可能呢，才留来说是，我这日本派出去是真的，看了线下这边我们我这看线下这边我都是把帮过的是，我在帮是对的这个在线下的穷当过去的，对对这来帮我就是老难你说了，就是我就是老难你是我在这里认为啥的也是。
in the 37 Bodhisattva practices, it says, indulging in sense pleasures is like drinking salt water. The more you drink, the more your thirst increases. Therefore, to abandon immediately the objects which cause attachment is the practice of a bodhisattva. So samsaric sentient beings, the way they indulge in sense pleasures is like drinking salty water. The more you drink, the more you want. So you drink more and more and sink deeper in samsaric existence. And so giving up what causes attachment means giving up the attachment itself, giving up clinging attachment to objects.
哦，真的超级巴的了哇！结巴真对这求经给钱都被做那把这些吧，吃是那多。 我但对这些我忙不从怎么样的3个星期去啊，他对这些个吧，我真是你们那去啊，3个钱给为钱抢了，可是呢3个星期在那你们那去头个嘛吧，他那上说挺早的，别忙不他3个星期。他把这你们你经常在这人送的提3个星期，对对，那个些让你们要嘛的话，就你刚不把这说讲。他当个从给门子都能装过嘛，咱们那层嘛，他当个从得听演员啊在身体的，你就这演员这个，做这演我挺给钱才抢着，咱给个钱，你不说那么客气，再说那咋样，把戏抢着，说那咋推嘛，再把戏抢，但是演员呢推出多少个了，我听这个就是么的，去商家那里没在戏，现在去商家那里没在戏，现在商业体在，他这里点那么第三了，商业没他上，这就听着推出老，往这个去了吧。
Mm. Now we come to the next verse, number 8. Understand that many distractions are obstacles for merit because they hinder spiritual practice. So, this busyness is an obstacle to our practice. And especially that's an issue nowadays. There are so many distractions nowadays. Actually, we spend day and night on our phones, glued to our phones. They keep us distracted constantly, day and night. Before, in the past, when Gambopa was alive, such distractions didn't even exist. At that time, they would speak about the busyness of people, like going in the busyness of people, not going into like the hustle and bustle of people. Nowadays, you don't even need people coming together anymore to be distracted. Now we are distracted by ourselves because we are glued to our phones. And then when that happens, when we are distracted, then that becomes an obstacle to merit because we will not think about practice. We will not practice. And this is how life runs by. Emil Reba said, thinking I will practice tomorrow or postponing with the thought I will practice tomorrow, your time runs out.
我真的你嘛，几天中共真的在这种球队里，真在几天中共拉屎的话，同样没下的话拉屎。这起码这剩下的凑些的人多，
So,
凑些剩下这个了，
so,
这个拿了这去。
嗯
我这你这做差不多就是在球队上，这看着这那老妈妈差的头出来差，这3个星期人们现在起头出来嘛。我在这
嗯
青岛，真的你听说我养的啊是冲着，养起来说是抽松，你们当我做什么那的呢？你们那青那边这个，因为我们都是中的，那么是说是冲，我今年那青州记者，呀，这年那去要当，这工的这个的，是吧？他这里说多，我这里的啥的，
Chitin Sumgan stayed in Trikong. At some point, he was lost, so he was nobody knew where he was, and so then they found he was in Tapok, a place called Tapok, and so then when they found him, they asked him, so why did you go away? He said that there were just too many students gathering around me. We're always together, so we can't really practice properly. So I had to take off and go somewhere else. So now either I'm leaving or you're leaving, but somebody has to leave, and we can't stay here together because otherwise we won't be able to practice. And this is actually how it started. That Trikden Sumgam began to send off his students to various places to practice in retreat, which then became renowned as the Drikung retreat places. So,
我当我当初听着忙，其实在嘛重庆这些电影儿下，这3个星期这个那年过年，这推出厂嘛，他就就这其实你这么说，用车这推出3个星期这个那。总票，但是东西是吧？东西先上升下来，但你嘛，主的拉嘛也不介意是吧？这拉嘛也不介意是，提前不让拉嘛的，从说噻，提前点球的是错是老这个，但点球在出队现在我忙不了是吧？但我忙不了，提前但点球走一面三个的全部都是，你们那都是，这块有一个是吧？这没先把开些可能那面点球说怕记一些，也不么都是那面真全部才开些。我在那这在我说，他有。 这就是老人怎么同意才的，要我去同意。我这同意做这个的，可是从什么的，那就也有特的，是哦。如果你们两个做机构了，但那就也有特的，中国那就也有，这是上学特的，被我们之前不的，是那就是中国
你
针对的。
说是一吨不吨的？
電柱即係得嘛？今天講電柱，我速度我聽到
哦，等于说，
我嘛
哦，嗯哼，
講法做電柱，我電柱
嗯哼，
也曉得，我嘛在上學的攞同意，這是同意。
嗯哼，
可是講你們兩個打定對自己做沒辦法，你們兩個在起口上，你們兩個也曉得就把對，把你們確保是那個了。
嗯哼，
因為在生活在一起呢，在做樣子，有些就是嘛，那在慢慢不是這樣的。
嗯哼，um, so nowadays, we tend to stay in very busy places. We live in cities, and we spend all our time in distraction, doing all kinds of things, and very little time thinking really about Dharma practice. And so that is this busyness, this distraction here, this busyness referred to here. And there was once a story about a really good lama in retreat, and so this lama's lama passed away, and there was a funeral ceremony held, and many people gathered for the ceremony. And when all these people gathered, he said that I am not going to stay in this crowd. Is I can't. This is not good for practice. I must go. And so he went, and some people actually were complaining a bit about it, saying that that's really not very good for him to not even stay for his lama's funeral ceremony. But also Nuchu Tome, who was the author of the 37 Practices, he also said the best ceremony actually is to offering we can make is to actually practice as the best way of honoring our lama or guru is to actually practice because in all this busyness we will not be able to practice when we are in the midst of all these people and busyness it's difficult for us to truly practice. Sure.
我这趟去当个做他就是他就是没来的话，我也嘛的，就是没来的话，他这什么别的汤，这些题目考拉的的，希腊在推的就是没来，他确实全部我都 top 了吧，这 top 十里边就是没难干不了穷，这些的，他就是没来，他实际人破了，难干破啥破看我，差不多这种往破了，在我们家所用查的说破了。等你么开始碰说啥，这就是没来啊，他把钱留下，今天出去买油啥嘛的，啥的，呀，那钱了，人不弄吧弄吧不弄，啥的弄了哇，等到第天什么别的，他剩下的养家这用的，就是没那地嘛，对，这也是相对，但这里通过长马波头是的啦，长马波头是，
Vale.
我这都长马波头是的啦，来不多的，
Mille repage.
嗯，
Hammer
波头。
Unter. Mhm.
我这来来，
Mhm.
这真的是没别的，他来说，提没开始，他提把开，你说啥了哇？没提就没开心，用说啥了没来的吧？你看没开心，那咱经常那个车嘛，从世界这地那也不都是这么别的，你在这呢，经常你要打的啥的是，他们开的人多送的你什么都是，你弄把那人没开心，那经常搞我听到就那里那也不都是，我真他妈先把提弄嘛，他说别结果说吧，就也不对，可能说没事，眼里头嘛说也不用都是，我这两多。
Mhm. Or Dublin? Did we lose Dublin or did I lose you?
I also can't hear him now.
Oh, okay. So maybe it's his internet connection. His internet message. Mhm. Oh. Oh. Sent him a message. I think he's in Arizona, right?
Yes.
Oh, so maybe the internet connection. They've had some issues the last few days.
Yeah, he's in Arizona. Looks like the internet connection there may be very poor.
Mhm. Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, he's back.
아,
Oh, da, 양쪽. Okay. And dini tama di pato kosong. Dini lama shemba tense yang lama ya po yoro sinta wo song dini ni kana meda chasong.
마, 야고, 저, 소와, 야고, 너, 지금 베데트 람도 지나 선저 원스. 라마도 협상 시나 지랑 릭사레스. 어제 랍도 등이 라마도 나지 지나 시토베. 등한 지天 추진도 루비면 제로. 이거는 보다 지天 추진도 하는 것도 시원하다 시나 지금도 뭐 베데. 랍도 등이 랍친 bom장 로나리나 안 나라디나 지天 추진도 로지면. 다 랍치세 때문에 메사서 담보 로지디랑도. 真是没别的，咱小两头送俺都用了，这就没事。然后，这几天出去，让几天出去，咱都是阳明啊，地区过，咱没来个把地区，咱娘们是弄个人上地区，那他等拿出来红。
Mhm. Okay. Um, so there's a story about Milarepa. So there was a time when Milarepa stayed somewhere meditating, and his sister Petra and the girl Tete came to offer him some food. And during that time, Milarepa had already attained Mahamudra, realized Mahamudra, so he was able to fly in the sky. And so at one time, he would fly around a bit. So he would fly from one cave to another cave, then meditate there a little bit, then fly to another one, and so on. And so eventually, people began to see this. Some people saw this, and it was quite a spectacle, obviously. But then Milarepa immediately realized, oh, this could really turn into the eight worldly concerns. This is not good. I better not stay here. I better go somewhere else. So this is when he began his journey to Lapchi, and so then he left. And later, again, his sister Petra came, but Milarepa was gone. He had moved to another place called Dharma Ponto, and so then he was there. So then his sister Petra followed him and went there too. And at that place, some of the people had a lot of devotion to Milarepa, and they came to meet him. And so when Petra then came, she said to him, "So why don't you just stay here?" So actually, the disciples first invited him, "But keep moving around. Stay in one place. Um, it's good for you." Not to stay in one place. And people, then the sister came and she said, "Well, the people here like you, so better stay here. Look at some other lamas. They have a really nice kind of circumstance. They have good students. They have a comfortable life. You could be even an attendant to one of those lamas." And Milarepa said, I could be that lama myself, but I don't want to allow the eight worldly concerns to arise. So therefore, I will not stay in such a place. I will go to Lapchi. And so basically, what Milarepa saw is that all this busyness and distraction could easily lead to the eight worldly concerns. He knew that these are harmful to the practice. And that's why he avoided them.
真的，但我当初他对自己帮助表格来看不的，他才去说。我这帮助表格来看不的，第一呢，他在说这，就说东北我对这，他在你们七月在康图托你们你妈的这事，你们七月可靠二的，这可靠二送他在去说干嘛个事，第四在三个米八在康图托是告诉你们提刚才咱们当图表，然后在century 系统呢，然后全部有的是。
Whereas for us, it's hard to abandon this busyness completely. But whenever you have some free time, even just a few minutes, use this time to practice as much as you can, whenever you have the time. And when you do the practice for these few moments, even, just only think about that and not anything else. So,
근데 다 고아들 봐. 어디 계절구만도 그 저게 라마시 바샤스. 어디 돼서 다제 참선제 어디 현재다. 만나산정원제 고차 심지어 후에나도 로파트나 심지어 고차랑제 잠만 준비로 와. 어서 총동대 다시 있을 로다.天都给叫嘛，和现在研究就是结果，但后来人我们都怎么呢？他研究就是结束的，他研究就是出了点呢，他给我归出去的。但我说研究层面呢，他给我这是你们那样他吧，系统什么的研究出来点呢，你们那解释系统要偏学了，古马才真正情况都呗。这个是那么去年，我这个是他在过去几年他说是那学了，过去没得缺他说成绩，但是那么写过，上当的这个他说在别上的老百姓在这么的会对强烈就光头学的，是吧？光头学的。我参与青队的呢，那么些吧些，那么那么我出去的，前面就公开党投票，这说吧公开党投票，我参与了。那几天中午他松原可乐，没就上学先松原吧，松原可乐这名全部的上学先没是的，我这松原吧。我这几岁没了，这但是就是这样，像这忙不涂鸦，咱们这有了，最起码人家投射当不的是个类我办的，这些呢。你们俩只是被空白这下，或那样，只是被骗到清不清送我。
Now we come to the next verse, number 9. Understand that enemies and obstructors are your teachers because obstacles are an inspiration for spiritual practice. So obstacles should be recognized as an enhancement for one's practice, an encouragement to practice. So various hardships, sicknesses, and so forth, and various hardships. Pöla kare semchila kocha, karete
啊，
semchila kocha.
国家现在生产需要，咱们的国家了不然苦，
Na tsarve.
国家现在生产嘛不需要，按照我的这个卡法们的生产新多样，这种特殊新多
Oh,
样有了，卡
yeah.
把我这国家我这里用个多。
So in Tibet, for example, no, because the weather is very cold, often like the cattle and the animals would freeze to death. So we'd have like massive amount of animals like dying. So there's various obstacles that can come, like demonic influences that cause all kinds of harm, and and so when you see all of this, then you see that the nature of samsara, so renunciation arises. And when renunciation arises, it encourages you to practice virtue, to practice the Dharma. Without renunciation, you will also not truly practice the Dharma. So renunciation really supports your path in practice. And so therefore, the adversaries and the obstructing forces should be seen as one's teachers. So if they cause harm, then we can practice love, compassion, and patience. And for this reason, because they show us love and patience and they cause our love and patience to increase, we should see them as a teacher, actually. And Jigten Sumgön also said that the best protection sphere or wheel is bodhicitta. And also Milarepa, when he was in retreat, initially he encountered many demons, and so in the beginning he did experience some difficulties with these demonic encounters, but eventually these experiences actually strengthened and enhanced his practice. So.
本来大城市情况这个啥，但是呢，他就在说就在同他们 show tamji rang yin mi ban do bar chob de yo mares oran chob de yo maro ya bu na su na chi so zes sem jar ze da jena te show tamji rang chob de yo mares kan la nya ba ni xie bar se wo de kan yin na de nyam ni na xie go les wo nya ba ni sung tamji pa che de nya ba ni na xie bar xia si ba da sung se de ne chao mo so ji hong yo ten ti pa che na de ne nyam ni so de en sa le 我这个是讲究哪有啊？同他们老爷教育面，老那工作明白多是，同他们这老教育嘛的是，老的工作明白多是好了。
Then we're moving on to the next verse, number 10. Understand that everything is of equal nature because all phenomena are ultimately devoid of self-nature. So ultimately, although things appear, they lack inherent true existence. So therefore, everything should be understood as equal. Everything is the same in lacking inherent existence. And so therefore, seeing everything as the same, we no longer grasp at a duality of perceiver and perceived, as it all doesn't really exist inherently. Then in the Bodhicharya Avatara, it says the ultimate truth is not the domain of the intellect. The intellect belongs to the conventional, the relative.
我真的这当咱多对错意，那就他们去让进米吧，有的没，他们进他这的，有的没，面下去了。我是主把他们这主把人送进去主把了吧？我的主把他们这的，哪怕的是，但哪怕他有没差的，他哪怕这个说没大学了，面他有个政府不点重要嘛，他的钱拿的拿来的，然后呢，先。他去就拿走有嘛的是你的是，他让的先走有嘛的是，他记录你不你的，他记录你不起名了，是不是？大马龙是去了印度中马的没有什么大的呗，我这记录你不起名了，兄弟大马龙是去了印是，我听着吧，这扎的给我这给他说的，说不得有嘛，这给是等下都能做手下，我的什么，但也让你妈热到，我你自己热到怕车送来，没办法，我的娘把你把这。시랍 레시 냠니 시랍 테인드 어때 남자다 냠나트를 치고레스 어때인도 다 시바르 제비추 주스 어다스레스.
So in short, all phenomena lack inherent existence. They transcend existence and non-existence. That's the meaning of unelaborated. They are unelaborated, so they cannot be labeled as existing or not existing. They are like space. You can't label it, give it a name. There is no subject and no object. There is no inner and no outer, or being or not being. So there's no self and there's no other. There is no happiness or suffering. Milarepa had said, there is no difference between happiness and suffering, joy and suffering. This is the best instruction. So also enemies and obstructors do not truly exist. They are created by our thoughts. So to realize that we need to separate ourselves from the dualistic perception of self and other. And separating ourselves from this perception, the mind becomes great equanimity. So when one no longer perceives a dualistic reality, it all becomes equal. That is the wisdom of sameness. And so that wisdom of sameness is what we must cultivate through practice. So these were the 10 things to be understood.
我到底穷苦，这里你要是那往这边求就是，这求过的时候呢没求， 没去了没就我就是你样上是，我在去过的时候，当然是上几年的给电把的时候呢，咱家呢想着我在印度天的没去现在在没来别人差别按照我的，那从家呀，他说没去着学的，从家呀按照我这么着有点往那说，我就说。从家养我这没得给钱开包邮，人这门这咱国都养着我有点听呢，我是说去了真就有嘛也是就新年们去过的也是，他根本别就新年们没进那里面送这个送了，我去没进那里面送这些啊，掐着这是，我这对面就去过，要不去过的也送去当多人了，
Mm-hmm.
那咱
Then
当初挺早这年们去年，呀，
yeah.
那是，
Uh, then so next are the 10 things to train in. The first one is having entered the door to the Dharma, don't get involved with many mundane concerns, but train in accordance with spiritual principles. So once we have entered the Buddha's teachings, we should not get involved in all kinds of mundane, corrupt activities like cheating others for business and I'm speaking really being really clever with one's words to kind of get others to to buy your thing and so on. So all of this is contrary to the Dharma. And Gambopa had said that if one does not practice the Dharma in accordance with the Dharma, then that Dharma itself can become the cause of lower rebirth. So the point is that when we practice the Dharma, we need to practice the true Dharma. Okay.
我这就是没来的朋友嘛，这是在送对去，没在你们俩去自由啥东西了。这咱俺了闹的，去年不中，俺们俩去自由啥吧？了对的呢，咱俺这我们俩去都什么都去了，咱去都什么类似。但去年来可能没先把这咱们车嘛，啊，对，可能咱就可能你们去过这，那个大哥，今天这吃也落当时一层皮跑吧，跟你们去过中多。我这是溜的，天溜的那个，但俺是在去不要的，是来个不罗啊。你拿到你看说，俺那说的，就当特别吃吧，抓不的要我。那在今天去特别吃吧，这趟等俺说今天是出头去过的，抓不过去的，才能赢那在，但俺个先下去呢。等去年来去下来去图个嘛的，在等那俺说，今天就是线下忙不起不，那在等，我等俺去忙不在吃吧，在他们开播的有咱们那可里面那在块吧就听到这上体确这两种大过来那个忙不这个吧，我听你听那俺就在去年来去图个，我听准备送去呢，要不这是。
And at one time in the Reebok, again, he came to some place and he met with a person who said to him, who also was a practitioner, and so he said to him that you're not going to be able to practice like me, but what do you practice? So he asked Milarepa that, and Milarepa said that. What I practice is just this. I gave up life, these worldly concerns, and I gave up self-grasping. That's what I practice. So of course, for us, this is a little bit difficult, but we should try to practice this as much as we can. Of course, we live in this world and we need to survive. We need to make a living and we need to do what's necessary. But if you get too attached to all of these things, you can't truly practice Dharma. And also, the more you become attached to these things, the more suffering arises. It creates a lot of suffering. And even if you think you are very skilled and you kind of how to get around it and so on, in the end, often you lose everything again and you face many hardships. So it's better to make an effort in the Dharma.
我在其他呢，大家都现在说的这些是呢，咱一般的让有帮的没有些没能话的，上面娘是那话的，娘是那，但是重点把那说，但让有没有钱的要做， 当时他可以咱们那边温州呀，怎么我这老凶嘛的，你嘛休息，他让培育去爬帮呢，没啥些先把建筑，那这娘们去啊，罗罗，我这娘们去啊，其实讲没有去了，来不是的让一这，让这，刚把些呀，然后的娘们也不买进游戏，真的，
Can get cheese on this. Sorry.
我真的他让一帮的没有新闻的是那么多。我最开始呢，他让一帮是的，等于在这等让做杰克先把这样子，我这那票嘛，但我们呢，可是呢，所以你们来去呀，知道了，但是出了龙巴东巴，是你们来去干这个的话，然后实际先把别家那么的，那或者别家像那或上秘密说的要委屈了，这那么他们接着他你们来去做用个的话。我这用的，我这他培育把教呢，啊没有了，在康巴让我在这西洽啊清仓这那去的呢，等这口嘛也学样是，你们去投用了，新闻的话是，新闻的话了，消费样是，我这这切换没办样是那过来是，我这样这西洽这下的几个了，这是培育地当了，那没有地当，我这样的，我这你们去过来是。
Then moving on to the next verse, number 2. Having left your homeland behind, don't establish a new base in a foreign place, but train without attachment. So this is about isolating yourself to a place of seclusion or leaving your homeland behind. So that means it's not about leaving your homeland behind. Like nowadays, we go traveling to different countries. It's not about going traveling, but it's about going to a quiet place where you actually practice. For example, in the old days in Tibet, people would go to another place, like they would go to meet a lama, like in Lhasa, and they would leave their homeland behind, but then getting to that new place, maybe they would stay in a house among other people again, not really practicing. So then it's really the same because no real practice is happening. So the point is to practice wherever you go in that place, you practice without attachment. If there's attachment, then you might as well just stay. Then it doesn't matter where you go, it will be the same.
我真的，他这都这真的，我说你嘛，这按摩了长地的吧，这朋友些这当场也不多，这个节目看着送当起来，那第三搞不忙不当个的他，这导演说的要不要嘛的是，别想的空气，别看想的是那，不是说他屋里呀，旁边录不进去，自己家呀当一些是家的嘛，跟对，但那不是种，我真当一些是，真当一些的，不是说录不进嘛就话是黑雨的送。那把这黑医生呢？我知道这些这批地方都要不用你这个是，别的就啥，要做个这样的帮助，我这种回事的。
For example, when I did retreat in Almora, my retreat master, Asia, he said to us, he actually scolded us, saying that so if you're here, you better do really well in your retreat. You better practice well because the Drikung lineage is sponsoring you. So you better make sure you do well. And then he said, like for example, Tibetan parents send their children all the way to India, like to Dharamsala, to study there. And then instead of studying, if they run off to Nepal and go like singing songs there, do you think that's a good thing? So that's how he was kind of like preemptively, like before anything could happen, he was already scolding us.
我在这里是呢，多的那他可能那这，现在路通过的，对不对？我是车路当的，是两边去过的，是个，因为他车路当，这个来看我对手的，因为他这个是现在这线下穷些，但是我做线下可事情呢，自己都要写的。我之前对那这样把他这样把毛毛提供的，我说没事的呢。我这个东西是切给的，这样都是线下穷的去，你们俩是个兄弟家过来是的，多的呢。
So in brief, this verse teaches that we must give up the clinging to this life and focus more on the practice. And that is, of course, a little bit difficult. But the less we we fixate, grasp at this life, the less suffering we experience. The more attached you are, the more suffering you will experience. So just think that, of course, we will always encounter difficult situations in our lives, but the with less attachment and more effort in the practice, it's also easier to face them.
Lama tamba tene ngajarba ne kashi nyamshle sta sumba derwa. Tene ta tari kashi ta lama di sten de lama zar simbo tenis. Su zar simbo tobste. Ngajar che den ro sarwa. Ngajar che den ro ngajar che den ro di ngajar pa go ngajar du re. Du ngajar che wo smala de pezon ra du chi ko ngajar re zon ra. ngajar tene to sang ko sama tu hyo ro ge ta ngana 냠내 치투마 당하나 사신 뭐 인상데 요라다 뭐 셴바 마라야 오zam도 전주 마보 요르 마팅가 어제 리고네 전에 거 고나도 그거라 차 그러잖아 때 롭종나 치 그만이 당하나 사신 뭐 인상 어떤 지금 제가 좀 나서 나기래 그 롭종만 하나 사신 뭐 야보셔요 뭐 셴바는 도래 잠리잠도 스타도 그러고 어제 리 드롭도 그만했어 때 다 남에가 냠내 담가카레 나뭐 때가 지금 냠내 아 시크레스
On the next verse, having followed a sublime guru, give up conceit and train in accordance with his words. So, conceit here refers to becoming puffed up with pride. So, for example, people say, I've met this great Lama in a Dharma sense now. I've met with this most amazing Lama and I've received his most profound instructions. And pride arises. So that is what we must give up. This pride is like a demon. Milarepa said, pride is the greatest demon. It truly prevents you from practicing for developing any good quality because you're always thinking, I'm so great, I already know everything. Then you don't really put in your best effort to improve yourself. And so this is happening actually a lot nowadays. Instead of improving, then people actually are getting worse and worse. And this happens in worldly life as well. When people think that I am the best, I don't really need to do anything, I'm better than most people, then that kind of thinking, this attitude makes you stop putting in an effort. So you're not actually getting better at anything at all. So the instruction here is you should follow and do whatever your Lama, your teacher, advises you to do. So.
거기만 지대송 로마데 뉴저로 하나 세요라 뉴가서 손나도 뉴세 지대송 로마 거기도 왜 거기서 뭐
세 보면 더 얘는 민카레래 민카레
뉴저로 하나 나라 뉴가서 손나도 뉴저로 하나 뉴로와 뉴저로 하나 어제세 예마 듣고 마상 친보제 부리와 마상 친보 사실 주 본보다 친보제 인사래 我这几天送我姐还送的吧，几天送我姐还在送，这几天送我，这有这个想起来，我那快开始是吧？那咱没谁的些少钱，但是呢，过特别好看没钱这个，不认识没钱去写有的听哪没钱这个这个不认识，但没钱写有是吧？听哪这个不认识听率，过没谁些少钱的，那几天送我开始送真的。 他就从前部那个啥的，说什么的，他就那开始就有种多，他那家啥吧，也啥，对头，但咋前部这工作拉不拉些，可罗巴子就，今天从那啥的，他经常确实嘛的，啥谈不着啥的，像那几个啥啥，没钱不着啥。 근데
알았어. 그러니까 템도리.
아싸니 야자 투사 말했어. 지난 뭐 첨부로 왔어. 이게 사니 사자티. 하고 소에. 어떻게 도 다시 나 가려 주고 있나 도구 말. 이게 사니 추사 말했어. 뭐 첨부로 왔어. 어떻게 라 뒤에는 아, 내가 망아자자 안 살아왔어. 맞아. 지금은 디젤데 그 코로나도 믹스자 지금 나와 삼년 코로나 요 지만 삼디도 但삼제 디小队这个大家三着地有啥这也不地有啥这地那3万没多个老么讲着可能没钱不够然后跑去我三多啊但今天说我讲那么多他第四个吧进来要不这三万是吧你妈这去几年这年要给下了都可差不多也
Can give me
嘛给
Hashatan.
下漂亮的很多可差不多给下什么程度的那
Big
你浙江的
comment.
要不干嘛了
Chacha
那他
comment.
三票那有问题
Oh, Chidin Sumgyan, they need this college, you know, Yagar is some bonus already, Chilla.
一个人开的蛮大
Oh, yeah.
3万有马拉过 我们都没钱不着啊 这人今天我他可能过的是那什么了什么这啊可能我在哪里的你们那去过去过我那些那么长钱不结果不知道真的我说你们俩提出去我这件今天我嘛做下了他有点吧他那是用个就送起来多做不起来了
So, so Chidin Sumgyan had a student. Actually, before he became a student, he met with this student. So that was was it Nyo Java Hanang? So, anyways, he this student who later became a student, he was the son of a very powerful family. So during that time in Tibet, there were four main kind of most powerful families in all of Tibet, and he was the son of one of those four powerful families. And so it seems that his family had some like special official relations in Lhasa, the capital. So, anyways, he met with Chitin Sumgan, and Chitin Sumgan had some attendants around, and they treated him with great respect just because of his background. He was from this powerful family, and so then they also introduced him to Chitin Sumgan in this way and said that he's from this very special family, so you have to treat him with some special respect. And then Chitin Sumga actually then said to him, so if you think you're so important, it's better you don't stay there, because since you are so great, I have nothing special to give you. I can't live up to that. So you better leave. So he just said that to break his pride, really. And so this a person, New Java, he didn't say much, and he did as Jiten Sumgen said, and he went to Dagla to practice and retreat. And while he was in retreat, he didn't have much food, but because he was from this powerful family, he felt too embarrassed to go out and beg for alms. So he didn't go out asking for food. And Sujin Sumgan also didn't give him anything either. And that was probably because Sujin Sumgan was thinking a little hardship will be good for him. But he, anyways, persevered through all these difficulties. And actually, later, he became one of Sujin Sumgan's main disciples.
他个去听嘛某个些事的可去虽然讲去爬几年有了，他去今天做学啥了？但是去今天的团队他某个些啦可以多的。
무게소 시성.
我牛这边上对就我吃某个些的3万没某个些做个了的，希拉可以的哈国多，但哈国有嘛了3万对的，
Yeah.
可以是什么样
So,
的？
ja, 보고면도 그런다. Dit
嗯，那
ko ngang komendo.
弄修建都可以呢，那样那这把老师，
Ja, nga koma sandana te muge shino kare ni kama song.
但今天实际没那某个些做个了，
So kishindore.
是个人，多牛
So,
这边上啥样嘛都是
아니,
拉双的，多牛这边。 这去年年在哈国呢，在哈国来在哪里把去年看这去今天这，三胖子去今年了是吧？去， quando ci non stavamo dove, te zita, stavamo da PT, mi riusciamo di sti oggi, va?
Oh. Mm-hmm.
Qualcuno mi ha saputo di stavamo mettendo.
Mhm. So this while this new Java, this so powerful son, while he was staying in retreat, he actually almost died of starvation because he didn't get any food or water. And so and since he was in retreat, there were some people that kind of attending retreatants, and so there was a person who knew that he didn't have any water, and he would go fetch some water for him, and would bring that to him, because otherwise he would not have had any food or water.
这原天俺家见到原天去没吃，但俺家用清不用，这原天去是叫嘛那种，这就等俺说，但是伢们亲戚那里看的那子，俺家穷去过来种的，但我真的才能听啥原因，但这里给先西下那了。
So in brief, if pride is in the mind, then true qualities cannot arise. And that goes for whether in practice or anything else that we do. We must cultivate some humility and let go of pride. So we stop here for today and conclude with dedication prayers.
你看从弄的这里给先起，
Do Songwen's dedication prayer.
我在马路上路上去。
Glorious, holy, venerable, precious, kind, root and lineage lamas, divine assembly of yidams and assemblies of Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, heroes, heroines, yogini, and assembly of dakinis dwelling in the 10 directions, please heed me. By the power of this vast root of virtue, may I benefit all sentient beings through my body, speech, and mind. May the afflictions of desire, hatred, ignorance, pride, and jealousy not arise within my mind. May thoughts of fame, reputation, wealth, honor, and concern for this life not arise for even a moment. May my mind stream be moistened by loving kindness, compassion, and bodhicitta, and through that may I become a spiritual master with good qualities equal to the infinity of space. May I gain the supreme attainment of Mahamudra in this very life. Even at death, may the torment of suffering not arise. May I not die with negative thoughts. May I not die confused by wrong view. May I not experience an untimely death. May I die joyfully and happily in the great luminosity of the mind as such, and in the pervasive clarity of Dharmata. May I, in any case, gain the supreme attainment of Mahamudra at the time of death or in the bardo.
真的出去去，真的在这里，我说，的，这里那个，情况呢都有啊。真的车架的呀，我们都在讲他基本上那边看板的旁边，这里那边看板的并没毛病，有的拍来骑到他们多啊。啥的，真的车架的也不是让我们都在讲他。
Yeah, so thank you everyone, and sorry for the bad internet connection because today, says I'm in my retreat cabin, and the internet is not very good here. And I could go to the Lama house, but in the Lama house there's a lot of people, and that's not so good either. So anyways, I'm sorry for the bad connection today.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you. See you next week. Yeah, thank you. See you next week.
Yeah, next week. Mm.
Yeah, okay, thank you. 아니, 네 사고 사빈발이 여러 아들 좋아하는 봐.
This summer, Mara.
제가 사빈발에서.
Yes, I've been back to some. Next out to the Chiquichila.
야, nga 좀 해요 말아. 요새 말아.
Mata mata usa maringala. Yine kerana
yeah.
mishi.
요새 말아.
Usa mara.
Yeah, okay, thank you everybody.
So. Thank you.
Gracias.
Yes.